I've been having trouble thinking of things to make videos of for a long time, and I get ideas in strange ways. Several years ago, back when I was driving, I went down to Sonic one morning to buy some breakfast, and while I was there, a pickup pulled in next to me, and the guy had a voice like Larry the Cable Guy. Says, "Give me a cheese dog with a lot of onions on it." And the voice over that said, "I'm sorry, sir, we don't serve cheese dogs until 11. "Why not?" "Well, they aren't on the breakfast menu." And he said, "Well, why not on the breakfast menu?" And you know, that has bothered me ever since. Why not cheese dogs on the breakfast menu? In fact, why not has been the question has propelled the world for years and years. The people will ask the question, why not, and set out to prove why not. That's kind of like the Wright brothers proved how you did it. The Wrong brothers found out that why you shouldn't try to fly an airplane without instruction. They aren't around to do it, to tell you. So I'm going to make a Chilicheesedog breakfast this morning. It's going to be a simple thing. Come go along with me. I might even tell a story at the end of it. Okay, let's make this Chilicheesedog breakfast. I've got a fancy plate. I've got a toasted piece of sourdough bread here. And I'm going to heat a weenie in the oven in the microwave, and I've got a pan of chili over there, and I'll cook an egg to go on it. Okay, I'm going to start my egg here. So what? Now the old ice cream tray. Toss in an ice cube and put a lid over it. And that's going to come up a perfect egg. In the meantime, I'll straighten up the wiener on the toast. And I'll slather it with some chili here. I've already got it hot. Nothing like Wolf brand chili. This doesn't have any beans in it. You can use either with beans or without beans. And put a lot of it on there. You know, chili on toast is used in a lot of breakfasts. John Wayne especially. I've done a couple of videos on that, and they have been extremely popular. I met with John Wayne one time when I was working at Black Forest. One of the owners called me up and he says, "Jim, get one of the tow planes and fly over to the ranch, and you're going to spend the night. I need you to do some flying tomorrow morning." So I flew over there and tied the airplane down. As we walked up to the house, there says John Wayne. And he had come there to hunt antelope, and my job the next morning was to go out at daylight and find the location of herds of antelope. Big John had a ranch that covered 25 square miles, and that's a lot of area for someone to try to cover to find a small herd of antelope. But I flew around, found their location, radioed back where it was, and he got his antelope okay. And he was a very delightful guy to meet. He just like he was in the movie, just same old John Wayne. Okay, egg is done, perfect here. Slide it on top. Get rid of this hot skillet. Some salt and pepper on the egg. And if you want onions on it, put onions on it. You know, the question of why not has built this world as it is. People who will ask why not, and then set out to prove either why or why not. Of course, it's kind of like learning to fly. The question, how can you fly an airplane without having any instructions? And most of the people that try to prove that to be wrong aren't around to do anything about it. But a chili dog for breakfast, it is perfect. Like a little bit of something here. How about some Fritos for garnish? Now I'm going to go to the table with a cup of my coffee and have breakfast. There it is on the table. Looks good. I'm going to try it out and see how it is now. It sure looks good and smells good. Find me a corner here I can work on. Get me a bite of this wiener and the hot dog and the cheese and the chili and everything here. Big bite. Made it. That was quite a bite. Sip of my 1 cup coffee. Good coffee too. You know, this is just a pretty darn good breakfast, and it was so easy to make. Took hardly any effort at all. I think I'll finish my breakfast and then I'll tell you my little story that I promised. Just like eating a chili dog in your car. Drop it in your lap. Well, that was a good breakfast. I enjoyed that. I'm going to do that again. It's so quick and simple and easy. And I promised you a story, so I'm going to tell you. I told you about my ancestry in the last one, and about my dad in the Father's Day video, but I didn't mention that he was also a veteran. He was drafted into the Army just like I was. He was 26 when he was drafted. I was 22. And he was drafted into World War I. I got his registration notice, or registration form, and he listed his occupation as cowboy. That's what he had been all of his life, and he's proud of it. He said, "I'm a cowboy." Well, actually, he was one step above cowboy as far as ranches were concerned. He was classed as a wrangler. He could handle horses. Well, the Army took one look at him and says, "Cavalry." And in the cavalry, the new troops and the new horses went through basic at the same time. The day that you reported for basic training, you were issued a horse, and it was up to you to learn how to ride the horse, and up to the horse to learn how to do what you needed done. My dad said he had broken a lot of rough horses, and he referred to the really bad ones as owl-headed. He said, I could look at a horse and tell you in a second how smart he's going to be and how hard he was going to be to break. And he says, there are just some horses that you couldn't break. And he didn't work for a regular ranch at the time. He would go around from one ranch to the other where they raised horses and break their rough ones. And instead of being paid $30 in keep as the regular cowboys were, he drew $5 for each horse that he would break to rein and to where he could be ridden. And he was making probably twice as much as a regular line cowboy, and he didn't have to get out and ride all night in the rain to keep the cattle from stampeding. But he said he took one look at that horse and knew exactly what it was. Horse raisers, they would sort out their worst horses and sell them to the Army, and whoever was buying for the Army, like most people buying for the military, they knew nothing about it. It's just a horse to them. And anyway, he said, I got him saddled, and the first day, and he said, I used my usual system. He grabbed the reins next to the horse's nose, bent his head around to his side, and ran his fingers through the straps on the saddle to hold his head around to his side. Well, a horse can't buck with his head around to the side. Put his foot in the stirrup and started to get on, and he said, a lieutenant behind him screamed, what the hell are you doing? Don't you know how to get on a horse? My dad very calmly turned around and says, I don't know, Lieutenant. Said, would you like to show me how to get on a horse? Lieutenant came over there, gathered up those 4 reins on those Army bridles, put his foot in the stirrup and started to step aboard, and the horse leaped forward and kicked him right in the stomach with both back feet, broke several ribs. And 2 days later, my dad was on orders to go to a machine gun company that was leaving the next day for France. So he had about 5 days in the Army between induction and on a troop ship headed for Europe. And he was put in a machine gun company which had the highest had the worst expectations of coming back alive, because the machine gun was new in World War I, and when the Army heard a machine gun open up, they called in every piece of artillery and everything else they could on it. Well, he managed to survive that, and the war ended, and he came home. And he was being discharged, and he'd only been in 16 months. And the unit that he went over in had 126 men when they went over, and came back with 16. So you can see the death rate that they had in there. And also he came back with lungs full of holes from mustard gas, and more men died from gas poisoning in World War I than from bullets. And he always had trouble breathing the rest of his life, and he had a funny little wheeze in his voice. He never talked about it, but it was recognizable. He talked to the VA, and they said nothing we can do about it, and that was it. He did receive $2 a month VA compensation for his injuries. But anyway, he went in as a buck private, and 16 months later, when he was discharged, he was a buck sergeant. That's just 3 stripes. Now, to make sergeant in that length of time in the cavalry or infantry was a greater feat than me making 6 stripes in 17 months in the engineers. And I asked him how he managed, and he says attrition. Everybody above him got killed off, so he'd just move up the ladder. But at any rate, he was discharged as a buck sergeant, 3-stripe sergeant. And in the regular Army, if you made sergeant in less than 15 years, you were lucky. But my dad died before I was 30 years old. And my mother died 3 years later, so I was an orphan before I was 30 years old. I had no brothers or sisters, and only a few cousins I would even admit or claim. As my dad always put it, we have two groups of relatives. One are rich and won't associate with us, and the rest are such a bunch of hillbillies we won't associate with them. So I've been more or less an orphan all my life. It's the way I live. Greatest thing that ever happened to me was when I found Frida, and we became a family. And I always joked with the kids, we can have a family reunion in a Volkswagen. But anyway, that's my story for the day, and you folks have a great day. And if you get hungry for a Chilicheesedog breakfast, make you one. They're so simple, and by golly, they're good. God bless Texas. God bless America. And you folks just have a fantastic day. I know I'm going to, and I hope you do.